This episode is being sponsored by the Complete Dancer Project, which is presenting a one-day course for Irish dancers, parents and Irish dancing teachers at the University of Limerick on August 11th, 2018 from 9:30am until 5pm. For more information, please visit facebook.com, The Complete Dancer Project. My name is Martin Percival, and you are listening to the Irish Dance Podcast, folk dance to phenomenon and beyond. Hello everyone, I'd like to introduce our guest today. He's a dancer, teacher, choreographer, performer, entrepreneur extraordinaire, and all-around great guy. Please welcome Mr. Shane McAvinchey. Hey, Shane.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was a nice intro.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I am doing very well. I'm in Barcelona at the moment.
Yes, I saw that on Facebook. Are you there for the summer, right?
Yeah, I'm here for a while anyway. I'll base myself here. I kind of have been coming here for a couple of years to do workshops, and then I just decided that I would come here for a little bit longer and travel back and forth to my other classes from here.
Why not? It's absolutely beautiful. I've never been, so I'm looking forward to coming to visit.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Thanks. Okay, let's start at the beginning, and if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little insight into where you started dancing, when, and why it became, why you stayed at it, basically.
Okay, well, let's go back a very, very, very long time ago when I was a young 6-year-old in Tipperary. And the story goes, so my sister was dancing, not really competitively, but she was dancing in the class twice a week or so. And one day I went in to collect her with my mum. And of course, the teacher was delayed, as teachers always are in dance classes. So we sat there waiting for my sister to finish. And then, lo and behold, one of the teachers came up and just grabbed me by the hand and took me up and challenged me to learn my 1, 2, 3s. And I immediately accepted the challenge. So I learned my 1, 2, 3s from this teacher, Marie Hogan. And then she challenged me again to say that if I came back next week and I knew the 1, 2, 3s, that she'd show me the next step. And so, of course, I went home, practiced my 1, 2, 3s every day, and I couldn't wait to go back and show her the steps. And then, I suppose, from that moment, I was hooked. It wasn't really a competitive school that I was at. I stayed there for a couple of years, and then I started dancing with Anne Callanan, which was more of a competitive school that was on kind of the World Championship circuit and all that.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I know when I was teaching myself, I think most of the time boys and girls learn very differently, and that was an excellent way of enticing you into the class by challenging you to learn. I think that's brilliant. Yeah,
I totally fell for it. Totally.
Of course. Have you used that technique yourself?
I use it all the time. Yeah, no, especially for boys when they come into the class. You just have to keep challenging them and, make it into a game.
Yeah, I think, the gamification absolutely is key. I know I taught quite a few boys, and they got bored very, very quickly, so you had to keep them learning. The girls were a lot harder workers, of course. So you did the whole circuit, World Championships, all of that stuff, which is brilliant. But what was it that you liked or disliked about competition?
Well, yeah, the funny thing was I didn't really spend that much time in competition, because I suppose I started competing properly when I was about 10 or 11. And started doing the World Championships. But I stopped competing when I was 15, 16. So, my phone isn't on silent. So I didn't spend that much time in competition, but I just loved it. I just loved the social aspect of it. Like, I would come home from dance class on a Friday and I'd just tell my mum that I'd got a lift to the fesh on Sunday, and somebody would come pick me up, take me to the fesh. I'd have my own key to get into the house at 2 a.m. because the fesh would always run late. And I'd come home and put my cups on the table and go to bed. And I just loved, I'd go to the fesh like all day, and I'd just hang out with my friends and run around the place, around hotels. And then people would have to come and find me to actually get up and dance at the fesh. As soon as I was on the stage, then I was loving it as well. I remember I used to smile the whole way through anything. I never really got nervous. I just loved it, and I loved looking down at that time. Teachers and parents and all were allowed to do like hand signals from the audience. So I used to find that hilarious when you'd look down the hall and you'd see people jumping around the place and waving their arms around the place, trying to get you to move and lift. But it just made me smile even more, which I think was an advantage.
The audience were all having a fit.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I can still see it in my head.
So that's good. So you had a positive experience with competition, which of course always helps. But so then you joined professionally. You joined Riverdance at the age of you were a whippersnapper.
I was a baby.
I remember.
I was a baby. I went up to the audition in Dublin with a couple of my friends just for the crack. So we headed off on the bus, and the whole plan was to go to Dublin shopping, and in between we'd do a little Riverdance audition for the laugh. Just these were open auditions, so we said we'd go and check it out and see what it's like. And went in there and just loved the whole experience again, because I had no plans of joining the show or anything, but just loved the whole experience and learning the steps and everything. So went shopping then, went to Guineas, got my jeans, and then I went home, completely forgot about it. And a few days later, Riverdance called and they wanted me to join the show. So I remember I had the phone in my hand and I called my mother over and I was like, Mom, it's Riverdance. And they want me to join the show. Apparently they'd only picked about 2 or 3 other people from that audition, and there was hundreds there, so I really couldn't believe it. But yeah, then I spoke to my parents, and I was about to go into a transition year in school, which is kind of like a gap year. So we decided that it was too much of a good opportunity to miss. And next thing I was packing my bags to go off to America at age 16.
Good old America. I know, absolutely brilliant. And it works out perfectly that you had the transition year at school so that you weren't missing anything.
Yeah, well, the plan was to go for the year, for a transition year. And then my parents came out to visit when it was nearly time to, go back to school, and they just looked at the life and the rock and roll lifestyle. I remember my dad just said, "You're not coming home, are you?" And I was like, well, maybe I'll just stay for 1 more year. And then 4 years later, I was still there.
So what happened to your schooling then? Did you finish?
No, I didn't. I had plans, and all the plans were there, but I never did. But just the experience of traveling and being all around the world, it really helped me.
That's schooling enough.
Yeah, school, the world school, But I was able to go back, and when I moved to Germany, I managed to get myself onto like a postgraduate business course. Just by talking the talk. So I kind of skipped the whole school thing and the university thing and went straight to postgrad.
As only you would.
And yeah, but that I was always kind of a bit scared that I hadn't finished my education, but it kind of all just evolved very organically, and this business course really just got me interested in business and seeing what more I could do with dance, and so it all worked out well so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that school isn't important, but I know looking back on school, there was a lot that I learned that I didn't really need to learn. So the life experience is definitely beneficial, and that brings me to a good point actually. In terms of Irish dance, I think we offer, when we teach or when kids come to Irish dance class, they do learn a lot of very valuable life lessons and life skills. And then as teachers, we learn how to event management, psychology, all of that stuff. Yeah.
No, like I remember the one thing that I always take from dancing was that I felt so independent. Like I was so responsible for, how good I could be, or how often I had to practice, or, going off to competitions or to shows or traveling. And it just gave me this responsibility that I don't know if I'd get anywhere else. My whole life was dedicated to this sport, this art form, and it was nobody else's. It was completely mine. And that just really, I don't know, it just gave me this confidence, I think.
It's a magical world, isn't it, really, Irish dance?
I think everybody, I would never I would never give advice to anybody to do exactly what I did, because I think everybody's different. And, I would never say to anybody that, pack in your education, just go for it. I would give my account of what's happened with me, but, I just think everyone has a different path. And
yeah, of course. But that was your journey. And I just think it was, the right place at the right time and all of that. And so you spent 4 years with Riverdance. How was that?
Amazing. It was because I started so young. It was like, that movie Almost Famous, where the guy goes on tour with a rock band and he's just kind of looking around himself all the time, going like, "Wow, am I living the life?" It was back in the day when Riverdance was still huge, and we'd be going to shopping malls or out for dinner, and people would be so amazed that we were in the show, and you just felt like a rock star, at the time. Like, you didn't know then that it wasn't going to last forever, so it kind of you actually felt you were a rock star. And then the actual performances themselves, there's nothing like that feeling of going out and dancing to that music in front of the crowds, and all the cast members that you meet, and lifelong friends. It was just unbelievable experience.
So what did you do after that then?
So then, so I decided I'd had enough of Riverdance after 4 years. It just felt like I just needed to go on and do something else. So,
done enough treble cuts.
done enough of the old treble stamps. And again, it was just, fate was in my favor. And when I decided to leave Riverdance, the day or the week that we were re-signing contracts, got this email from this lady in Germany, Mary Sweeney, who was looking for a teacher in Munich. So I said, right. So I got in touch with Mary, and next thing I knew, I was on a plane to Munich, and then I met Mary, and we hit it off for like a house on fire, and then I moved there and started teaching.
Yeah, it's a match made in heaven, because you're both mad as a box of hats. Yeah,
we are. I mean, box of frogs.
box of frogs, whatever. You're all just mad. But it was, you've developed a great partnership with Mary that still exists to this day.
Yeah, like, again, it was just like right place, right time. I'm still teaching with Mary now to this day. We have the school in Germany. I couldn't have picked a better teaching partner. It just happened. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And yes,
divine intervention. Yeah.
So I stayed there for 13 years. And during that time, I was teaching in Munich, and then I started doing workshops all over the place. So, like, I don't know, I kind of became the guy that people were calling to do workshops in places like Serbia and like all over Europe, France, Russia. I did a lot of work around Russia, and so I was doing a lot of workshopping around, and as well here in Barcelona. I've been coming here for about 6 years. So yeah, the teaching really took off, and I don't know, I never would have thought of myself as a teacher growing up. It was never part of my plan or something I wanted to do, but as soon as I started teaching, I just loved it.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. And I just think, I've seen your Facebook status. I've seen that you've been traveling around the world for, I'm following you. But I think, you've been fairly instrumental in building Irish dance in all of these different places. But what I think is absolutely amazing is that even though some people may not necessarily think, I never wanted to be a teacher. I did want to be an adjudicator. I remember having a little practice bell and stuff at home when I was tiny. But I never wanted to be a teacher. But it is something, once you get your teachers, it means that you could be landed anywhere in the world and just start a class. I mean, we're always going to be self-sufficient as teachers,
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a conversation with somebody, can't remember who, at the World Championships a few weeks ago, and they were talking about there was like a huge pass rate of TCRGs this year, something like 400 teachers passed or something. And
they all had to do it before the grade exam.
Yeah,
prerequisite came in.
There's this huge influx of teachers, but somebody said, but I wonder now, will there be enough kids for all these teachers? And I was like, the world is huge, of course. Yeah, and you've got 400 new teachers who are going to go out there and find new students and, go wherever it is they need to go to find more dancers. So, like, it's going to grow and grow and grow. Like, I can see 7 years' time, when these teachers are fully formed and everything, they're going to have even more students. So
absolutely. And it takes a while to develop your teaching style and develop a class and stuff like that. I remember when I first started teaching, I was told that the market was saturated, and I just found that unfathomable. I thought that was a ridiculous thing. I think the more teachers you have, the more people that are doing it, the more people see it, the more people want to do it, you know. And I mean, we have our part to play as well. I think we need to highlight Irish dance more and have, probably some more media coverage of it. But there's still a world for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the challenge, because I just know from teaching in places like Germany and other places where Irish dancing isn't even known, like people don't even know Riverdance anymore. You have to do more than just find students to teach. You actually have to educate people on what Irish dance is in the first place, and that, like, it's not mainstream. It can be mainstream, but it's a whole different way of marketing to try and get people to understand, first of all, what Irish dance is, and then get them to actually do it. So, but I think it's a struggle for every teacher.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we're not taught how to market, and there was a lot of kind of just natural interest with Riverdance and Lord of the Dance, and it's definitely a challenge now for teachers to brand themselves, and I'd be interested to see how it's all going to go. I mean, we've got the social media now. I think that's helping. But of course, we have restrictions on what we can show and what we can't. So,
unfortunately, as well, in the media, there's just the one headline, like, all the time, and it's the wigs and the tan, and it's such a pity that that's the only thing that the media sees, and it's such an easy story for any newspaper or publication to do, is just the wigs and the tan. Like, it's very rare that you find something written that actually shows what Irish dance is, and I think that's partly our own fault as well, because of what we put out there. Like, the only coverage Irish dance ever gets is the World Championships, which is only a tiny percentage of the amount of people that are doing Irish dancing around the world. So I would love to see that change.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason why I have this podcast, is because I just think within our own community, we need to start celebrating what people are doing, and just finding out. We're in the kind of discovery phase of what we can do as Irish dancers, and it's really exciting. It's it's a new frontier, that kind of thing, but it's our duty to inform.
Absolutely, yeah, I completely agree. And there's been so many situations where I've been standing in a studio somewhere, like Belgrade in Serbia, or I don't know where else, but just all these places, and there's tons of people dancing, and they've never even been to a fesh. They don't see that side of the world at all. They're just doing it because they just love Irish dancing for what it is. And yeah, that's just something I've seen.
Well, yeah, and because I mean, the thing of this podcast is folk dance to phenomenon and beyond, and it's true. I mean, it started as a folk dance. It's a community-based act. So we need to retain that, as well as honing our skills with competition, which, don't get me wrong, competition is phenomenal for honing that skill. I mean, what the dancers are doing these days is outstanding. It's absolutely amazing, but it's where else can we go?
Yeah, it's about kind of making it as big as it can be without losing. Like in Irish music and dance, there's kind of this secret underlying thing that you can't even explain, that goes into all the steps, it goes into all the music, and it's just something that's in Irish dancing and Irish music. I'm not sure if you get me here. Am I making any sense? Yeah.
I do. No, I do. I mean, and you can't explain it. It's because it's on a kind of limbic brain level. It's what you feel in your heart and your soul.
And it's not even something that you learn. Like our teachers never said this is the secret thing, the secret ingredient. It's just something that the teachers have brought on from their teachers and generations before. And I want to see Irish dancing huge. I want to see it massive, even bigger than it is today. But I still wanted to retain that essence somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will. And I think that's the struggles that we're having at the moment, because the competitions, especially the World Championships, is becoming huge. And it's just about the logistics of dealing with all of that. But at its heart, all of the teachers that go it's like a reunion for us as teachers. We're just catching up, and it's a community event, it's a social event.
Yeah.
And it has to retain that.
Yeah, I would love to see more done for the non-World Championship dancers. Like, I have this idea of divisions where, you have the World Championships as it is. Maybe there's, first division dancers that do that. Then you have the second division where there's events organized for them all over the world, the competitions or whatever it may be. And then maybe another division for, pastime dancers who are just looking to dance for fun, and they can dance anywhere with any teacher, or, they can pop into a studio and take dance class just like they would tap or something.
Yeah. That's a really, really interesting idea. I like that a lot. Good luck heading it all up. Yeah.
I just find that there's not enough room at world level. Everyone's trying to get there, but there's not enough room for everyone to be a champion. So you just get a lot of dancers who go through their whole competition life just going there every year after year, and just not getting there and always wanting, and then they don't have anywhere else to go. So at the end, they just kind of drop off, and that's such a pity.
It is a pity, and because I think we're dismissing a lot of talent because of that. But I really do like that idea of just having different opportunities for different dancers. I definitely know my partner is a ballet dancer, and when I explained to him the world of Irish dance, and that we go to a dance studio and we can't go anywhere else, and we can't be taught by anyone else, and we can't even, once we become a teacher, you can't even hone your own skills or keep practicing your own dance skills. It's like, it's done. That's it. You finished. Yeah. And it's heartbreaking, and I just think I'd love to be able to come and take a class from you and learn something different.
I like
Yeah. It just there's a lack of collaboration in the Irish dance world, and naturally so, because we have to have a competitive edge. But I just think there needs to be another space for us to still be able to develop as dancers.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for the way things are the way they are, but there's just so much room for more. And that's another thing I've been doing over the last few years, is like trying to make different events and things happen where it's not competition based, and just trying to give another outlet to dancers.
Well, let's talk about that actually, because you do the Irish Dance Festival. You also started the Irish Dance Company in America. You've been all over the map doing stuff.
Again, it's another thing. I can't sit still. You know me. My other business partner, Paula Goulding, and I have done a good few projects over the last 10 years, I suppose. The first thing we did was called Take the Floor, and it was like a show workshop. Where we brought dancers in from all over the world and gave them 10 days of training in as professional dancers. And at the end of it, we launched a big tour around Ireland with the dancers. And since then, there's more of these show camps or programs have sprung up, but
you were the first.
We were the first.
Yeah.
But the best thing about that was getting all these competition dancers, into this space, and we had 60 of them, and they all came in, and we had everything from top in the world dancers all the way down to non-recallers, and they all came in sheepishly at the start, and by the end they'd all gelled together and realized that, we're not competitors, we're all the same, we all have the same passion, and just seeing that develop over the 10 days was just amazing. Like, I don't think Paul and myself have ever cried as much. Tears of joy. But we did that for 3 years, I think 3 summers in a row. And then by the end of that, we were about to die because
it's a lot of work. But thank you for doing it, because I think it's an amazing opportunity that the dancers have. You, as well as I, know that performance is very different from competition. We do learn how to perform in competition, but the performance aspect is very different. And I think some dancers have both, and some dancers are born to perform, and some dancers are born to compete. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that all dancers, I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I think that all dancers are born to perform, but some dancers are trained to compete only.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And it's about breaking. So it's about breaking that, because like you said, we don't learn to perform, in our dance classes, but we are performing.
Yeah. Okay, well, yes, all right, I'll agree with that. But what I found with some dancers who come from the competitive world is that I'll put it bluntly, they're dead in the face. There's no performance quality to what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, anybody who's worked with Paula or myself will have heard that term a lot. But yeah, no. From that anyway, we set up our production company. So Up You Get Productions was born. And and then we just, me and Paula would just get together and we're like, right, what can we do? What can we do?
What's next on the agenda?
Yeah. So we just brainstormed loads of different ideas, and so then we came up with the Irish Dance Festival. So that is now, I think, in its fifth year now, coming up, or sixth year this year. And it's a week-long festival that we hold in Carlingford, Ireland, every summer. And the idea around it is for dancers to come and experience really what me and Paula both experienced growing up, which was like, we spent a lot of time in pubs as children. Not drinking, but with our dance shoes on, and the sessions would be going, and we'd be invited in to dance. And we'd, like, I don't know, since the age of 11, I was sitting in a pub, and we just, looking and talking with the musicians, just listening to the music, getting up and doing a dance and sitting down again, and just that whole vibe of it. Paula as well comes from music family, so lots of our cousins all play music. So the idea of it is to bring dancers in, immerse them in all of that goodness. And also, like, we have the Fesh Boot Camp program as well, which is, does the fitness and the stamina and the technique and all that kind of stuff. But that's our main thing, is to just give them a whole feeling for what Irish dance is. And having it in Ireland, of course, is a great help. But it's a great week. And again, all the dancers leave at the end of it crying because they don't want to leave their friends.
I'll put the link in the show notes for this. But I think, again, it's coming back to, it's creating a sense of community, and I absolutely love that. My mum's family are from Kerry, and they were all musicians as well, and it's a huge part of how I learned to dance. No,
it's the first thing. It's the first thing. Like, I still just play my trad tunes, full blast.
Yeah, right. And it'll inspire you. It always does with me. Yeah, absolutely. So then, talk a little bit about your foray into professional Irish dance in America.
Yeah. So then an opportunity came up. There's a company in America called the American Company of Irish Dance. And they got in touch with us to do choreography for it. We'd done another tour of France, so we started getting more involved in choreography and professional choreography. And then our dream was always to develop performance in Irish dancers. So we had a few workshops called Elevate, which were all about breaking the competition dancer down and making them a performer. And then we were invited over as artistic directors and choreographers of this new company that was forming. And again, it was such a nice, it was great work, because we got to audition dancers, we got to pick the ones we wanted. Unfortunately, we couldn't pick everyone, but and then we got to work with them. It's like, it's like having Play-Doh or something in your hands, and you're creating this work out of these dancers, and then to see the dancers take it on and work with you, and it's just such a nice experience. So we put together together like a showcase, and the idea is still that with every company out there that we need to raise funds, So still a work in progress as far as getting the company up and going, but we still hope to see it come to fruition, and we're still...
Absolutely. So if anyone's listening and they want to give you some money, they can, right?
They can give us as much money as they like, and they will not be disappointed with what they're going to get in return, because it'll be...
Right. No, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity. My own, brief as it was at the moment, Irish Dance Theatre. We used some of the dances that you'd had from the American company and everything, and it's just another. What excites me about the world of Irish dance right now is that there is so many opportunities to do shows. It's not just you finish competing and then you go into Riverdance or Lauderdance or start teaching. There are other avenues. But yeah, they need to be publicised. They need to have some money behind them, and they need to expand. Yeah,
I kind of feel like it's the chicken and the egg, which came first, because somehow that analogy came into head. But when you think of like Riverdance and the explosion that was there about 20 years or so, it's like all of a sudden there was this professional career where no dancers were professionals yet. Like when you look at other art, like ballet dancers or stuff, they spend their lives working on their dance, and so they can become professionals. But this way it's kind of gone, it skipped all that and went straight to these huge skills. And now I feel like it's being brought back down again to the base level, where you actually can learn the craft from people like yourself and myself and whoever else who was thrown into this professional world and had to learn it as they did it. I think there's kind of a new wave of professional performance coming, and hopefully it'll come from like an educated background where people can hone their craft before they actually go off on tour. And who knows where that will lead as well. More shows.
I know. Yeah. It's incredibly exciting. It really is. So I just want to talk briefly about your entrepreneur. I mean, you've got businesses all over the place, it sounds like. But I wanted to talk briefly about Irish Dance practice pads, because I know that was your brainchild, right?
It was, yeah, it is. Again, it's just, I love ideas, I love things, I love things, and I love making things happen. So the practice pad was, I got the idea, must have been about 5 years ago or something, or maybe a bit longer, where I was, teaching in Munich, and a lot of people in Munich, they live in apartments. It's a city. So I'd always ask them to practice, and of course they'd come in and they'd tell me, no, I can't practice because I live in an apartment, it's too noisy and I'm ruining the floors and all that. So I was hearing these excuses from my students all the time. And then one day I was in class and I had them dance on the carpet, and then I was like, go over there and dance on the carpet while I'm teaching, because it's too noisy, and it's just the class is crazy, but I don't want anybody sitting down. And then the light bulb idea struck, and I was like, oh, practice pad. so yeah, I had the idea, let it sit for a while, and I told a few people about it. I never did anything about it, which is the worst thing you can do with an idea is do nothing about it.
Really?
But eventually I met my now business partner, another business partner, Caroline, and I told her the idea, and she's got nothing to do with Irish. She's got no idea of Irish dance. She does now, but she's a great mind, great business person. And I just told her about it, and then a few weeks later she came back with samples, and she was like, yeah, let's do this. And I actually then went to my business college that I was in, and just went back to give a talk and presented the idea for the practice pads. And they were all business students were like, this is brilliant, this is amazing. So then it was a go, and then it was kind of just, throw everything we possibly can at it. And we ended up making what is now the first practice pad, which has it reduces sound, non-slip. It's got a grid on there that you can look at your foot placement and your cross. It can be rolled up, taken anywhere, so you can use it in the dance class or take it to the feis. Or great for teachers who have noisy classes but don't want their kids to sit around. I'm giving the whole pitch now. But what's the greatest thing about it is, having an idea and then doing everything to bring it to life, and then actually having something tangible that you can hold in your hand. And it's great, and the response has been brilliant to them. So we've got a few more products now in the pipeline. So
good. No, and that's really good to hear. But the thing to me about it is just like, yes, of course you have to have an idea to start with, and you have to have some help at getting it up and running. But you did take the action. It is something that is going to benefit everybody that has one. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal idea, and I wish you all success in the world with it. Because I know when I was teaching, yeah, it does. It gets cacophonous in class, and so if you could have some. If you could have some, people practice, because you never want anyone to sit down. That's the worst thing an Irish dance can do.
Never sit down in front of a dance teacher. It's just a sin.
Yeah, it is a sin.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I used to practice we had a table tennis table at home, and I would take it off its legs, put it on the floor. That was my practice floor, because I wasn't allowed to dance on the nice shiny floors at home. So there was loads of things where, yeah, it just makes sense.
No, it does. It's an absolutely brilliant idea, and I'll put the link for that and everything. But I would highly recommend people to check it out, because it is a phenomenal product. So well done, you, to that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it's another thing as well where you're trying to explain to people what it is first, because when there's a new product or something available, it's very hard to explain what it is fully until people try it. But anybody who has it, they love it. So that's great. Well,
and I think as long as we're coming from a mindset of benefiting dancers and teachers, then it should be able to sell itself at some point. Once that you get your critical mass, that kind of thing. Because that's actually a good point. I'm talking about competition now. We have a lot of like cottage industries, the costuming, all the bling, all the wigs, all of that stuff, and it's quite a difficult world to break into, especially as an Irish. I think if somebody came in from the outside and said, "We've got this brilliant idea," people and some money to put towards marketing, but we rely a lot on word of mouth or being at competitions or vending at competitions and that kind of thing. And I don't know. I feel like. If ideas are coming from within the community, we should at least give them a fair crack of the whip.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, it is hard for anybody to come in from the outside to do anything, but that's not a bad thing, because if we can support people within our community to support ideas and just projects and different things. Yeah, definitely we should be supporting them. And yeah, I've found it great. And any idea or thing that I've brought to the Irish dance world, of course, you get the people who don't like it, don't like change. But for the most part, people are really supportive, and you have to put up with a few blockers, but for the most part, definitely a lot of support.
Well, that's life anyway. Some people will knock you down, but if it's a good enough idea, it will win through. Absolutely. So
that's it. And there's room for ideas. Like any other dance form, you can think of. It's an industry, like the ballet industry, hip hop industry, and Irish dance is an industry as well. So, like, if there's anybody out there who just has an idea, I would say just go for it, and get a team together and just throw it out there. Don't be afraid of it.
Absolutely. And I'm in 100% agreement. We don't know what we can offer dancers, and especially because competition world is one thing, but just dance in general, as we develop Irish dance as a more accepted dance form, it's our responsibility as teachers to learn as well, and learn how to take care of our bodies and this, that and the other, and cross train and all of this stuff, which is all vital to dancers for the longevity of their career and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the longevity of dance itself as well. It's like anything that doesn't evolve will just die.
Yeah.
So like there always has to be things happening and changes and honing and all that, or else like I can never see it dying. But
no.
Yeah.
And I can't see you sitting still either. So you'll probably come up with a million new ideas. So Good. I'm looking forward to seeing that. So just in terms of where you see Irish dance heading, what would you like to see or not?
Okay, that's a good question. I think it's easier to answer where I would not like to see it go. And where I would not like to see it go is just this, like, I'd love it to get big, but I'd hate to get it so big and stay the way it is right now, which would mean a load of dancers would never get to that champion podium position, and they would just trudge on through, and there would just be mass people dancing but not getting any benefit from it. Where I would like to see it go is that it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that there's somewhere for all of these people to go. So there's different, like we were saying before, with popping into a dance class in New York or wherever you are and just doing like an hour of dance wherever you may be. And then the divisions thing that I talked about earlier on, I'd love to see that in terms of competition dance. And then like show and professional performance, I'd love to see that develop and evolve. Like there's hints of it that's been happening over the last few years, like with Alan Kennefick and other people like that are just, pushing the boundaries, as they say. But I would love to see that happening even more while still staying true to what Irish dance is.
Yeah, I find that interesting, and I think it's fantastic that the people are pushing the envelope and pushing the boundaries and this, that, and the other. But in its essence, there's nothing wrong with Irish dance the way it is, and we can still celebrate that as well. I mean, I'm not advocating that we all get up and do traditional set dances, but it is the way we've been taught and everything. It's still, I went to see Riverdance just a couple of weeks ago, and it's still a beautiful show. It hasn't, maybe the set and stuff like that might be a bit dated, but the content and the music and everything is still absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and it always will, because it works. And like you said, like Irish dancing is enough. It really is enough in itself. It's just about keeping it fresh, so that
yes, yeah. A little new spin on it. But I just know when I'm talking to people who aren't in the Irish dance world, they're just like flabbergasted. They just don't understand how we can do it. So that's the competitive advantage we have in the world. So we just need to get out there and do it more. Yeah. Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, I think there's only one more section, and that's our little rapid fire question section, which is just a little bit serious, a little bit silly, but we'll give it a go. So, yes, this is Shane McAvinchey in a nutshell. What's your favourite food?
Oh, that's a tough one. I like everything. I like absolutely everything. My favorite food. Oh God, I don't even know. You got me on the first question.
Oh my God, I didn't think I'd stump you on that.
Depends on the day. Like, I don't know.
whatever's in front of you, right?
I'll eat.
Brilliant. You're a good man. Your mum will be happy. Eat what you're given. Good lad. Okay, Riverdance or Lord of the Dance?
Riverdance, I have to say that. It gave me such good experiences. So, yeah.
Yeah, they paid you for 4 years. You have to say that. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I've been given so much advice. I don't know whether from people trying to dissuade me from doing things or
telling you to settle down.
I'm sure that somebody somewhere along the way, actually I know who it was. It was my own father who said to me, it was when we were trying to think of whether I should go to Riverdance or not, and he just said, go for it. And that just stuck in my mind for so many years, and for so many different parts of my life, was just him saying, go for it. And that way that only your father could say it. This is some sound advice here. I need to take this on. So really, anything that I ever do, or I'm thinking about, shouldn't I? And I just think, yeah, go for it.
Brilliant. Well done. Good man, Mr. McAvinchey. Okay, a book that has changed your life.
Oh, I'm not such a good reader. I'm not the greatest reader.
Movie then.
With my attention deficit disorder. But I've read like a few like of these, how to live your life books. And I have to say one book that I read was called The Success Principles, by a guy, Jack Canfield. And my brother gave it to me and he was like, oh, have a read of that. And there was just so many things in that book that just really spoke to me. And there were really obvious things about, how to get your ideas off the ground, or how to live a better life, or how to do what makes you happy. And it was kind of all these things that you really kind of know already, and you're like, yeah. But when I read it, it actually changed my life. I think I read that just before I started with all the Take the Floor and the festival and the production company and all that. It was that book that really kind of catapulted all that into action.
Absolutely brilliant. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I'm going to go with yes on that one. I do enjoy my pineapple on a pizza. Not too much, but.
Okay, and lastly, advice to aspiring Irish dancers, be it competitive or professional.
Yeah, well, I think competitive, I think one thing that all Irish dancers who go through the whole competitive circuit or become teachers, you kind of get to a point where you just kind of get it all of a sudden. You're like, now I get it. And that's one thing that I find really hard to teach my own students is you gotta play the game. So if you're doing a competition, you have to think inside the adjudicator's head and just play the game, and it actually becomes quite easy then. As long as you've done all your technique work and everything, if you can go out there and not let nerves get to you or anything, and just play the game and show them what they want to see, then you're going to do so much better than if you're thinking, oh, what about this part, or you're worried about this, or you just got to completely be really smart about it. And then,
that's great. I know as an adjudicator myself, we are rooting for dancers to do their best job.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. Do your best.
Yeah. And it's simple to say, but it's just one of those things. I remember I never knew it while I was dancing, but now when I look back, I know that I did well because I was playing that game. I knew what they wanted to see, and I was going to show them what they wanted to see. I think the minute a dancer catches onto that idea, then it's like they're going to do so much better. And then I would just say, don't be afraid of anything and just go for it.
Yeah,
as Dad would say.
As your dad would say. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Shane. It's been an absolute pleasure. What is in the future for you now?
Well, right now I am back and forth to Munich, so I'm always back and forth there teaching. We are getting ready for the Irish Dance Festival, so it takes a lot of work. We're replying to all of the emails, setting up the registrations, so that's happening in the summer. I'll be at the American Nationals as well with my practice pad stand.
Oh, good man. Yeah, I'll see you there. Yeah.
Say hello.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Irish Dance Podcast. If you haven't already, please go to iTunes or your favourite podcast app and subscribe to our podcast. That would be great. And if you are on iTunes, if you wouldn't mind please leaving a review, that would be awesome. Thank you very much. Please visit our website at theirishdancepodcast.com. There's also a survey there where you can fill in what you think about the show so far. So look forward to your feedback and have a great day. Bye-bye.